Let me tell you something powerful, something that most people ignore, yet it holds the key to a completely different life. The smallest disciplines practiced every day will determine the size of your success. It's not the dramatic gesture or the one-time sacrifice that changes everything. It's the quiet commitment, the consistent choice, the simple decision to give yourself just 1 hour a day. That's all it takes. 1 hour, not 10, not 5, just 1. But that hour, if used with purpose, becomes the turning point in your life. You see, people are always looking for a breakthrough. They want that one big opportunity, the one connection, the single event that will transform everything overnight. But here's the truth. The real breakthroughs don't happen in big moments. They happen in quiet hours when nobody is watching. You change your future by the way you show up daily. And when you give just 1 hour a day to your growth, you're not just filling time, you're building a new identity. That's the beginning of transformation. 1 hour a day adds up to 7 hours a week. That's 30 hours a month. That's 365 hours in a year. Imagine that 365 hours of focused improvement. That's not a small number. That's 940-hour work weeks. That's over 2 full months of effort, stacked 1 hour at a time. People say they don't have time to change, but they spend 4 to 5 hours a day on their phone, 2 to 3 hours in front of the TV. Hours lost in distractions that pay no dividends, but 1 hour of discipline that can give you a lifetime of results. Let's put this into perspective. If you gave 1 hour a day to reading, you could finish 24 books a year. And not just any books. Books filled with wisdom, strategy, lessons, and truth. Imagine putting 24 different mentors into your mind in the course of 1 year. Imagine what would happen to your thinking. Imagine what would happen to your conversations. You'd start speaking differently, thinking differently, acting differently, because that knowledge begins to take root, and from new roots grow new results. Or maybe you gave 1 hour to your body, training, stretching, walking, running. In a year's time, you wouldn't just feel better physically, you'd build confidence, energy, strength. You'd learn that discipline with your health affects every other area of your life. When you feel strong, you act bold, and when you act bold, opportunities begin to open. Or what if that hour was for developing a skill, a craft, a language, a business idea? 1 hour a day of focused practice makes you better than 95% of the people who dabble and wish. You become valuable, and when you become valuable, the market rewards you. But the reward doesn't come from hoping. It comes from consistent preparation. It comes from showing up every day with the intent to grow, even if it's only 1 hour. People want to change their income, but income doesn't change unless value changes. And value doesn't change unless mindset changes. And mindset doesn't change unless habits change. 1 hour a day is where you start changing your habits. That hour is the gateway to a new lifestyle. It's how you retrain your thinking. It's how you elevate your standards. It's how you escape the cycle of average and start the path to excellence. And here's what most people miss: the power of the compound effect. What looks like small progress in the beginning starts to multiply over time. The first few days, you may not notice much. A week in, still quiet. A month later, still slow. But that's how it works. Growth compounds silently, then suddenly. And when it hits, it looks like magic. But it's not magic. It's math. It's consistency. It's the result of what you did daily when no one else noticed. 1 hour a day seems like a small thing, so small that it's easy to do and easy not to do. That's where the danger lies. Because what's easy to neglect eventually becomes what's impossible to fix. You skip 1 hour today, you lose a day. You skip it for a week, you lose momentum. You skip it for a month and the year disappears. That's how people drift, not from big mistakes, but from small indifferences. But when you treat that 1 hour as sacred, like an appointment with your future, everything begins to shift. The world may not change right away, but you do. And when you change, the way you see the world changes. Your problems don't disappear, but your ability to face them grows. Your goals don't get easier, but your capacity to pursue them expands. All from 1 hour, every day counts. Every day builds on the last. Every hour you invest builds a brick in the foundation of a new life. That hour is where it all begins. There's something special about the early morning hour, something powerful, something quiet. It's not just the time, it's the energy. It's that moment before the world wakes up, before the phones start buzzing, before the emails start rolling in, before the noise of daily life demands your attention. That moment, that early hour, is your opportunity to be in control. Because once the day gets going, most people are reacting. But in that early hour, you're creating. You're designing your life before the world tries to design it for you. That's the hour you claim your edge. It's not a magic trick or a life hack. It's discipline, it's ownership. And it belongs to you if you'll take it. Most people don't. They roll out of bed rushed, distracted, already behind. The day starts running them, not the other way around. But those who choose to rise just a little earlier and do it with intention experience a kind of advantage that most can't explain, but everyone can feel. There's something about beginning the day with clarity that gives you power all day long. Let me tell you what happens when you wake up before the world does, and you spend that hour wisely. You begin the day on your terms. You create a sense of direction. You're not scrambling to find time. You've already made it. While others are still half asleep, you've already filled your mind with wisdom, your body with movement, your spirit with intention. You're not guessing your way through the day, you've started it with purpose. It doesn't even matter exactly what you do in that hour. It matters that you own it. Read a book, write down your goals, go for a walk, sit in silence, train your body, feed your mind. Reflect on yesterday, design today. If you do that, something starts to shift. That hour becomes the hour of power. It's not about being busy. It's about being ready, ready for the demands, ready for the challenges, ready for the opportunities. You don't stumble into success half. Awake, you walk into it fully alive, and that begins with the way you start your day. People ask, how do I stay motivated? They're looking for a secret, but there's no secret. There's a structure. The structure is simple. If you win the morning, you win the day. You don't need to do everything. You need to do something. And you need to do it before the chaos begins. You see, motivation doesn't come from waiting for inspiration. It comes from doing something that aligns you with your values. That early hour isn't about hype, it's about habit. It's about reminding yourself every single morning who you are, what you're building, and why it matters. You've probably noticed something. The day gets louder as it goes. More messages, more interruptions, more demands on your attention. If you don't carve out space for yourself early, chances are you won't find it later. Because life doesn't give you quiet, it gives you noise. It doesn't hand you peace, it hands you problems. But if you start with peace, you carry that peace with you. If you start with strength, you handle problems with strength. That's the difference between living by design and living by default. When you give the first part of your day to yourself, the rest of the day feels different. You're no longer behind. You're no longer chasing. You're leading. You've set your tone. You've built your mindset. You've armed yourself with clarity. That's what an hour can do. Not just change your schedule, but change your posture. You move through life differently when you've met yourself in the morning. You don't seek validation because you've already grounded yourself. You don't panic at challenges because you've already reminded yourself of your principles. You don't waste energy on drama because you've already invested your energy in progress. That hour isn't just an hour. It's a statement. It says, my future matters, my goals matter, my health, my learning, my peace of mind, they all matter. It says, I'm willing to do what most won't, so I can live how most never will. It's a decision that separates you from the crowd, not in arrogance, but in discipline, because discipline isn't punishment, it's permission. Permission to rise, permission to grow, permission to lead your life rather than be led by it. You don't need a miracle morning. You need a consistent one. You need to stop negotiating with the alarm clock and start negotiating with your destiny. That early hour isn't about being a morning person. It's about being a purpose-driven person, and purpose-driven people don't wait for ideal conditions. They create them. They don't wait to find time, they take time. They don't wait to feel good. They do good, so they feel good. 1 hour before the world wakes up, while it's still dark, while it's still quiet, while everything else is still asleep, that's the moment to plant your seeds. That's the moment to build your advantage. That's when your mind is most open. That's when your soul is most connected. That's when your future self is watching, taking notes, and quietly saying, thank you. One of the greatest losses in life is when a person begins to lose confidence in themselves. You've seen it, a spark once in their eyes, now dim. Ideas they used to talk about, now forgotten. Dreams once vivid, now buried. And it doesn't happen overnight. It happens slowly, silently. It happens every time they break a promise to themselves. Every time they say they'll do something and don't follow through. Every time they set an alarm and hit snooze. Every time they say tomorrow, and tomorrow never comes. Confidence isn't lost in one big moment. It's lost in 1,000 little ones. But here's the good news. Just like confidence is lost, it can be rebuilt. And you don't need a life-changing event or a round of applause to start. All you need is 1 hour a day, 1 hour of keeping a promise to yourself, 1 hour of showing up even when no one else is watching, especially when no one else is watching. That hour becomes your foundation. It becomes proof that you can trust your own word again. And when you can trust your own word, you begin to walk differently, speak differently, live differently. Confidence isn't arrogance. It's not pretending to know everything. It's knowing that you're capable of learning. It's not walking into a room and needing attention. It's walking into a room and not needing approval. It comes from preparation, from showing up for yourself consistently. 1 hour a day isn't just about progress. It's about belief. Every day you give yourself that time, you're telling your mind, I matter. My growth matters. My goals are worth my time. And the mind starts listening. The mind begins to believe. You see, the greatest form of self-respect is follow through. The world might doubt you, but it's your own doubt that holds you back. And doubt grows when your actions don't align with your intentions. That's why so many people feel stuck. They're not lazy, they're just out of integrity with themselves. They're out of sync. They want change, but their habits don't reflect that desire. And every day they skip that hour. The gap between who they are and who they want to be grows wider. But when you set aside 1 hour and you guard it and you protect it, something powerful happens. You start to feel alignment again. That inner conflict begins to quiet down. That voice inside that says, "You're not doing enough," gets replaced by one that says you're on your way. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. You need to prove to yourself that you're not going to give up this time. That's where real confidence begins. You might not feel like doing it every day. You might wake up tired, distracted, discouraged. But here's the truth. You're not training your body, you're training your character. And character gets stronger when you show up, even when you don't feel like it. Especially when you don't feel like it. That's how confidence grows. It grows in resistance. It grows in discipline. It grows when you become the kind of person who does what needs to be done, no matter the weather, no matter the mood, no matter the excuse. And once you begin to show up for that hour consistently, you'll notice something else. Your self-talk begins to shift. You stop saying "I can't" and start saying "I will." You stop saying "someday" and start saying "today." You stop avoiding the mirror and start looking yourself in the eye again. Not because everything is perfect, but because you're proud of your effort. That quiet pride, that honest pride, it's the foundation of real, lasting confidence. People are looking for external solutions to internal problems. They want praise, validation, motivation. But none of those last. What lasts is discipline. What lasts is trust. And trust begins with you. When you say you'll do something, do it. When you say you'll learn something, learn it. When you say you'll change something, change it. 1 hour a day gives you that space. That private space to begin keeping promises again, to start repairing the cracks, to start building something solid. No one else needs to know about it. You don't need to post it or prove it. The results will speak for you. The way you talk will change. The way you stand will change. The way you handle fear, criticism, even failure. It all changes when your confidence is real, not borrowed. And that kind of confidence is earned, 1 quiet hour at a time. In that hour, you're not just working on your goals. You're working on your identity. You're saying, "I am becoming the kind of person I was meant to be." And over time, that becomes your truth. Growth doesn't happen all at once. It doesn't arrive with trumpets or applause. It doesn't knock loudly at your door. Growth is quiet. It whispers. It comes softly in the background, like the ticking of a clock, barely noticeable, until one day you look up and realize everything has changed. That's how transformation works. Not in big, dramatic moments, but in steady, consistent steps taken over time. And 1 hour a day is all it takes to set that change in motion. In the beginning, it might feel small, insignificant even. You sit down to read, you open your journal, you stretch, you plan, you reflect, you practice. 1 hour, and at first, it might not seem like it's making much of a difference. You might wonder if it's even worth it. That's the challenge of the early days, the lack of immediate feedback. We live in a world addicted to instant results. But the laws of nature, the laws of success, they don't operate on speed, they operate on seasons. You plant now, you water daily, and in time, if you stay consistent, you harvest more than you ever imagined. 1 hour a day may not feel productive in the beginning, but that's because progress is subtle. If you're looking for fireworks, you'll be disappointed. But if you're looking for foundation, that's where you build it. Quietly, steadily, one day at a time, that hour becomes your workshop, your laboratory. It's where you study your thoughts, build your skills, strengthen your habits. Over time, you're not just doing things differently. You're becoming someone different. And it starts to show, not in loud declarations, but in quiet confidence, in better decisions, in stronger conversations. In moments when you respond with grace instead of fear, clarity instead of confusion. The compound effect is the most powerful force behind lasting change. It's the idea that small, smart choices, repeated consistently, lead to massive results over time. 1 hour a day adds up. Day after day, those hours begin to stack. At first, you don't see it. Then you feel it. Then others start to notice it. Not because you told them, but because you've changed. You've upgraded your thinking. You've refined your behavior. You've raised your standard. And the compound effect doesn't just give you more. It multiplies what you already have. It takes your effort and amplifies it. You might spend that hour reading, and what starts as one new idea leads to another. Soon, ideas begin connecting. You start seeing patterns, drawing insights, discovering strategies you never considered before. Suddenly, that one idea you read last week turns into a decision you make today, and that decision leads to an opportunity tomorrow. That's the compound effect. It doesn't just change your knowledge, it changes your perspective. You stop seeing life as random and start seeing it as responsive. Because what you invest consistently begins to pay dividends. Or maybe you spend that hour practicing a skill. The first week you're clumsy, the second week still slow, but by the third month something shifts. You're smoother, more confident. You catch things you would have missed before. That's the compound effect working behind the scenes. Your muscle memory grows, your instincts sharpen, your performance elevates, and what once felt difficult begins to feel natural. That's how mastery is built, not by binge effort, but by daily deposits of discipline. Or you might spend that hour in quiet reflection. Not just doing, but thinking, processing, understanding yourself, looking back over the day, noticing patterns, realigning with your values. That kind of inner work often goes unnoticed by the outside world, but it changes everything. Because when you begin to understand your own mind, your emotions, your behavior, you become more grounded. You're not as reactive, you're not as easily swayed. You carry yourself with purpose, and that presence is a product of private preparation. The most remarkable thing about the compound effect is that it works whether you're aware of it or not. The only difference is whether it works for you or against you. If you spend 1 hour a day wasting time, numbing out, avoiding the work, that adds up too. And the results of that kind of compound effect show up as regret, as missed opportunity, as potential never realized. But when you decide to invest that hour wisely, to be intentional, to pursue growth, it pays you back in ways you can't predict. A clearer mind, a stronger body, a deeper sense of peace, a richer life. You don't need to race. You don't need to rush. You just need to be steady, consistent, committed. That's what 1 hour a day teaches you. It teaches you patience. It teaches you the value of showing up, even when there's no applause, no audience, no immediate payoff. Because those who stay with the process eventually see the promise. They wake up one day and realize they've become someone they used to admire. Not by accident, not by chance, but by choice, 1 hour at a time. Most people look at time as something they either have or don't have. But time is never the real issue. The issue is identity, because how you use 1 hour of your day tells you everything about who you believe you are. It's not about scheduling, it's about becoming. That 1 hour a day is not just a chunk of time. It's a reflection of your priorities. It's your mirror, and it quietly asks you every single day, who are you becoming? You see, people often say they want change. They want a new body, a better business, a deeper relationship, a stronger mindset. And then you ask how much time they're investing in becoming that kind of person, and the answer is usually none. You don't attract change by talking about it. You attract change by preparing for it, by aligning your actions with your ambition. And that alignment happens in the hour you dedicate to it every day. 1 hour free of distractions. 1 hour where the world doesn't matter. 1 hour where your focus is you, your future, your growth, your transformation. When you commit to 1 hour a day, you're not just managing time, you're building character. And character is what shapes your future. You're declaring through your actions that you're the kind of person who shows up, not once in a while, but every day. Even when you don't feel like it, especially when you don't feel like it, that hour becomes your contract with yourself. And the more often you honor it, the more your identity begins to shift. You stop saying, I wish I was the type of person who, and you start realizing, I am the type of person who. That 1 hour becomes sacred because it's where you start telling yourself the truth. It's where excuses don't live. It's where you separate your current circumstances from your future capabilities. Maybe you're tired. Maybe you've failed a few times. Maybe no one around you believes in what you're trying to build. But for that 1 hour, none of that matters. Because it's not about what others believe. It's about what you believe when you're alone with yourself. If you believe that your future is worth the discomfort, worth the discipline, worth the effort, then you'll use that hour with full focus and full intention. And when you do that enough days in a row, something changes. You start identifying with growth. You begin to see yourself as someone who follows through, someone who finishes what they start, someone who doesn't quit when it gets hard. That's what separates the average from the exceptional. It's not talent, it's not luck, it's identity. It's what you believe about who you are and what you're capable of becoming. And that belief is built slowly, 1 hour at a time. 1 hour a day rewires your thinking. The first time you do it, it might feel forced. The second time, it might still feel like a task. But then something happens. You begin to look forward to that hour. Because that hour is no longer just a routine. It becomes a ritual, a space where your future self is being shaped. You begin to crave that clarity, that solitude, that progress. You start to see what's possible when you commit to yourself without compromise. You may not see results immediately, but identity doesn't need immediate results. It needs consistent reinforcement. The more days you follow through, the deeper the identity is etched, until one day it's not hard anymore. It's just who you are. You don't skip the hour. You don't negotiate with the alarm clock. You don't talk yourself out of it. Because now it feels unnatural not to show up. That's when you know your identity has changed. That's when you know you've shifted from wishing to becoming. When you use that hour well, it affects every other hour of your day. You walk into your job with more confidence. You sit at the table with more clarity. You speak with more certainty, not because you have all the answers, but because you've been showing up for the questions. You've been investing in your mind, in your energy, in your focus, and people feel that. The world responds to it. But more importantly, you respond to it. You begin to see yourself as someone capable of far more than you previously imagined. That's what 1 hour can do. It doesn't just reshape your schedule, it reshapes your self-image. It tells your brain that growth is not a random event, but a daily decision. It tells your soul that you're not here to coast, you're here to contribute, to grow, to lead. And when you start seeing yourself through that lens, you raise the bar on everything. You make better decisions, you surround yourself with better people, you pursue bigger goals, and it all starts in that hour that no one sees, but you'll never forget. Change doesn't require a complete overhaul of your life. It begins with a single decision, the decision to reclaim 1 hour a day. Just 1 hour of discipline, 1 hour of learning, 1 hour of reflection, 1 hour that separates the average from the exceptional. While most waste it, you invest it. While others scroll through distraction, you build the foundation of your future. It's not about the time, it's about who you become in the process. It's about building the habits, the character, and the mindset that success requires. Because the life you want is not a distant dream, it's a direct result of the daily choices you make when no one is watching. And when you stack those hours one after another, day after day, they become your legacy, they become your advantage. They become the quiet force behind a loud and meaningful life. So take that hour, guard it, use it. Not for perfection, but for progress. Because an hour a day, used wisely, can change the course of your entire life.